I am working on making 2 little reading pillows, and I wanted to add a quilted pocket, so I made these heart blocks, and here's exactly how you could make them too. The size of this block is 6.5 inches unfinished. You will need 2 rectangles that are 6.5 by 3.5 for the heart part, and then for the background you need 2 3.5 inch squares and 4 1.5 inch squares. First, take all 6 of the background squares and mark a diagonal line on the back of all of them. Next, bring back those 2 heart rectangles and then put your squares on top of them like I am doing here. I like to pin them in place. The 2 3.5 inch squares should be on the bottom of the rectangle, and then the 1.5 inch squares should both be on the top 2 corners. If you're using directional fabric, the bottom is where the larger squares are, and then you go ahead and sew right on those marked lines. Next, take your rotary cutter and ruler and trim these back so they have a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then the rest is scraps. Next, I took these to my iron and pressed the seams open, and then you will want to sew the 2 halves together, so you can go ahead and place them right sides together and sew along that middle line there. And I'm just going to keep it real with you guys. The first time I sewed this one, I actually hated how it turned out. Normally this wouldn't bother me too much. This is the only patchwork I'm putting on this pillow, so I decided to actually seam rip it and redo it. So if you run into the same issue, what I did is I made sure that the bottom seams lined up and the top ones so that they're going at the same angle. And this actually helped a lot. It still wasn't perfect in the end, but if you line up that top 2 seams and the side 2 seams, this should help. And that's it. If you make this block, let me know in the comments what you plan on doing with it.